Good evening all. One of the outstanding jobs I've got on my kit car rebuild is to sort out the remaining painting of the roll bar. So I've gone for a full roll cage. This is one that I've mocked up quite a while ago. Made it out of sections that I put together with reinforcing pieces in the middle to hold it all together. Obviously trial fitted a couple of times. It effectively replaces the area where the front windscreen would be. And then there's sections that go from here down to the rear hoop, and again from the top over to the rear hoop. So as I said, various layers of primer. I didn't bother trying to do a top coat on it previously to now, because I knew I had nowhere really to store it once it was sprayed up. It's got to go really straight onto the car because it is quite big and cumbersome. So it's all ready to go, so it's all been primed up. I've just used the tack rag on it as well to clean off any dust, as you would expect, and put a bit of water on the floor of the reduced spray booth. So I'm going to mix up some of the epoxy stuff we've used on the chassis before, a little bit of thinners, and then give it a go. So hopefully this will be the first of 2 or 3 coats. I might just leave it an hour or so between coats, or maybe overnight, and then I'm going to be putting a sort of satin lacquer on it to try and help protect the paint if I can as well. So this is the epoxy stuff we use for our chassis that I sprayed the chassis in previously. Rustbusters Epoxy Mastic 1:1, part A, part B. Obviously you use 50% of each of these, and a little bit of thinners to taste really, depending how thick or thin you want it to come out the gun and what the temperature is in the local area as well. Obviously you don't need too many too thin, it'll be too runny for spraying. This is the gun I previously used at the beginning when I did the chassis. I just had to nick a little rubber seal out of one of the other guns because I bought basically 4 guns exactly the same. So got the rubber seal out of one of the other guns at the moment. The reason I end up having separate guns, I obviously found when you're doing your top coat, if you've got a gun that you previously had a colour in, no matter how much you've cleaned it all up, the last thing you want is a little bit of colour coming out and obviously spoiling it onto the wrong panel, so to speak. So yeah, this is the original gun. Just a bit of a clean up, got it all ready. Just did a bit of a trial spray it with some thinners. Going to mix all this up. Sorry. Let it sit for about 10 minutes until it starts to harden. I'm also going to try something different as well, something I sort of see online. Some people use lights on the top of the gun, so obviously on the cup here, just like an all head torch. This is obviously a little LED one. It's got quite a bright light on it, so it will illuminate the area I'm spraying. So if you've got any badly lit areas or areas you can't really light to because it's sort of tucked out of the way, this is supposedly meant to help out. So yeah, so that should make it a bit easier to spray with, so I'll give that a go as well and see how I get on. As you can see, it's been sitting for a while, so the hardeners are quite thick, so I have to give it a good old stir up. I've already put 100 mils of the actual paint in that mixing tub there, so I'll give it a stir for another minute or so, put another 100 in, and sort out some thinners as well. Right, I've got all the paint mixed up, equal amounts as I said, with a bit of thinners. Bit of cling film over with a little head torch. Obviously you can change the angle on it as you wish to get it at the point of contact where you're spraying. Got the paint strainer ready to go. That's been sitting for a few minutes now. Just going to get my face mask and PPE sorted out. I've already tack ragged the roll hoop already, so we're just ready to get ourselves kitted up and start spraying. So it's an hour or so after I did the spraying. As you might have seen in the video, I started off with some light coats and then slowly built it up a little bit more. Intention is to try and do another little coat. It will be tomorrow now. Just feeling down the bottom here, out of weight, it's still tacky, as it normally is, to be fair, when you actually paint it by hand. So yeah, probably gonna give it a day to dry, have a little look at it, maybe do a little bit of light rubbing down if there is any required, and then try and go for another second coat to build up a little bit more. It's not as a nice effect as you would expect, obviously, from a normal car paint job. There is a little bit of a wrinkle in here. Well, I have put on some heavy bits at the end here, so Again, I might have to see how it is, maybe let it really harden and maybe give it a light sand to try and get the smoothness back on the finish before doing the second coat. Well, it's now the following evening. The paint's had virtually 24 hours to dry. It's not as bad as I first thought. It's got a little bit of a sort of hammerite effect on some areas. So I may well try to see how hard it is to rub this paint down. I know it's notoriously hard to do when you hand paint it. I might just try an area maybe down the bottom out of way, maybe on the back of the bracket. So if I can get a little bit of a smooth finish on there, then what I'll probably do is to try maybe another coat with a lot more thinners in it, and maybe not let it sit for the sort of 10 minutes. I do sort of vaguely remember when I actually did it before, I was having to do a bit of spray and have some thinners in the corner of the booth and chuck that in halfway through, because it is quite thick to spray. So yeah, so it's not too bad. It's got a pretty good coverage from what I can see. And I do trouble getting to these sort of right into these areas here. Obviously you're laying down to try and spray up, and you don't want to end up putting too much paint, otherwise it'll run. Can't see that I've got any runs at the moment either, so I'm reasonably happy with how it's come out. Obviously not sprayed this for probably a few months now. So yeah, you can just see this sort of effect here. So a bit of light rub down would be nice, and say maybe another coat.